Escape from Tarkov is an amazing game. The only thing, it's not exactly easy to get started. And don't worry, it was like that for everybody at the beginning. And that's why today we will go through all the basics in this video, so that you are off to a good start. And if you start a game for the first time, just briefly choose your language and then put in a name that you want. You can change this name at any time later, but I would still recommend that you choose a halfway reasonable name, you know. Then click next, and then we have two factions. You can choose between the Bears and the USECs. They not only differ visually, but also have different starting gear. The Russian Bear gets Russian gear at the beginning, and the USEC gets, well, Western gear. Also, the Bear is attacked instantly by the AI on one specific map, and that's Lighthouse, while the USEC will first get a warning. Same applies the other way around for USECs on Streets of Tarkov, but the map hasn't been released yet at the time of this video, so I would recommend that you for now start with the USEC. Then give your character a face and a voice, and voila, you're in the main menu. And if we click on character here, we are in the stash. That's where we can equip our character and see our whole inventory. And I can understand that it seems very shocking when you first see it and overwhelming, but don't worry, we will go through everything pretty slowly. And later on, this can be cleaned up using cases, so it will look more orderly later on. But first of all, let's take everything away from our character. The quickest way to do this is to hold the control key and click on the items with the left mouse button. This way, the items get directly transferred in your stash. And you have the ability to sort automatically. Later on, yeah, there are cases, but for now, I think sorting is the best way to have it at least somewhat organized. And then we have the first difference in items. There are some items that can be stacked. So those can be put on top of each other and, well, stacked, but you can also split them again by dragging the item while holding control again, then put in the number that you want to split them by, and there you go. If on the other hand you want to equip your character again, we can do this very quickly as well by holding the Alt key and clicking on the items. This way they will get equipped instantly. So control and click is moving between containers and Alt is equipping. And then we usually put some ammo in our pouch. But what is this thing anyway? Well, it's a magic box basically that you have on you that other players can't open even when you die. Because in Tarkov, when you die, you lose everything that you have on you, except for your knife and your secure container, and your armband and the equipment slots that come in later, but most important, the secure container. There are also different sizes for this secure container, and don't worry, if you have the small one, you can unlock bigger ones by playing. You don't have to buy the bigger version of the game to get a bigger container. It's not mandatory. Then we also have to give our character something to heal with, because if we get hit, a couple of things can happen. First off, a very manly cry. Except for that, we can have a heavy bleeding. Now, when this happens, you lose health per second until, well, you bleed out and die. And you can use heavy bandages to fix that. There's also a light bleeding, and it's basically the same thing. You just die a little bit slower than with heavy bleeding. But yeah, and it can be fixed by small bandages. With first aid, you can restore HP if a body part is damaged. You can either drag it directly onto the selected body part, or you can place a shortcut and use it that way. You can set this shortcut by simply moving your mouse over the item in your rig or pocket and then press a key from 5 to 0. Furthermore, we can also break our arms and legs. Happens very often if you misjudge the height by a little bit. This means that you will not be able to use the body part that is broken to its full extent. In case of a leg, you can't run anymore and you walk very slowly. Now this can be fixed by using a splint. And then all of a sudden your leg is like brand new. Furthermore, if a body part drops to 0 HP, it's dead. Then you can revive it using a CMS or survival kit. It will not be restored to its max HP, but to around 80%, and with the CMS to around 60. And those are the basics. But when do you actually die? It's quite simple. When you have 0 HP, of course, you die. but also if your forex or your head gets destroyed by external damage. So you can lose your arms, lose your legs, but not your forex and not your head. Very important. In these settings you also have the option to show your health state permanently on your top left of your screen. This can be very helpful at the beginning, not that you forget to heal at some point and have a limping leg behind you. And last but not least, we have painkillers. And what do they do? Now, aside from cranking the sharpening up to maximum, they also allow you to ignore things like fractures or dead body part for a limited amount of time. Meaning, if you are on painkillers, you can even run with a dead or broken leg. You will make noise, you will lose HP, but at least you can move. But be careful, painkillers dehydrate your character very quickly. But that's about it for your character's health. Then we move further with the skills, and do not spend too much time here. It's relatively irrelevant at the beginning. Most skills you'll have passively as you play the game. For example, endurance, you get more stamina the more you run. Pretty simple, right? And maps, we don't have them, but more on that later. And then we have the task tab. There you just see your open tasks and missions. Oh, that was the first section, and I know that was already a lot. But hang in there, you're doing great. Then we move on to the dealers. And as you can see, we currently have 8 merchants, and each one of them sells slightly different things. For example, Prapor is more on the Russian side of things, but first we have to discover everything. You can do that by either using your middle mouse button or right click and then press inspect. This is important because otherwise your character cannot interact with the item. Then we have Therapist, it's the basic medic, I guess. She sells a lot of medical stuff, keys and boxes. And we have Fence, and he is very special because he's basically just a big player market. So whatever you sell to him will appear in his shop later on. So everything you see in his shop are things that people sold to him. But Fence doesn't pay great, so you only want to sell things to him that no other dealer wants. Meaning most of the time he has a lot of garbage in his shop. And we have Skier, and this guy somehow doesn't want to stick to one category. So he sells mostly single fire weapons and a lot of attachments. Then we have Peacekeeper, and he's again a bit different because he trades in dollars, not rubles. But you can buy dollars using rubles at Peacekeeper, so you know, it's not that much different. And he sells mainly Western gear and weapons. And we have Mechanic, and he also doesn't want to be in one specific category. He sells a lot of different things, but different than others, he has a lot of good trades. So barter trades. With those, you have to trade items instead of money for specific gear, weapon and so on, but therefore those trades are very, very good. Then we have Ragman, and he's a stylish one. He sells you everything that you need to wear, like armor, headsets, backpacks, rigs and so on. And last but not least, our favorite, the Jaeger. And he basically sells everything that you would relate to hunting. But he's kind of a shy guy, so at the start you have to find him with one of the first missions to unlock him. Although this might change in the next patch, so let's see. Besides the traders, we also have the Flea Market. Here players can trade directly with each other. You can make offers, you can buy things. Just like you're used to in many other MMO games. But it's locked until level 15. So for the beginning, it's not that relevant. Then again, last but not least, we have trader missions. If the trader have this green check over their head, it means they have a mission for you. So go to the missions tab and see what they got for you. And those are pretty important because for those you get reputation with the dealer itself. And that's very important because this way you can unlock the next level of those traders. Higher the level of your trader, the better the things he sells to you. You can see what you need for your next level on the right upper corner. Usually need your player level, trader reputation, and you have to have a certain sales in his store. And that's all about traders and the flea market for now. Then let's talk about the last topic in the main menu, and this is your hideout. Now we're not going to go over each station because that video would be an hour long, but basically you have different stations that give you passive or active bonuses, let you craft things or generate money over time. and you can upgrade those by using rubles at the beginning. Later on, you need specific items or even trade levels to upgrade a specific station to its next level. And again, it is very important as you can craft very good ammo and gear or specific items. When you have a certain level, you get a lot of money, and you can use, for example, things like the firing range to test your weapon. So there are a lot of options here, and it's usually worth investing a bit of time and money here. So that's it with everything that we have in the main menu. So it's time to go into raid. But first we need to equip our character. But how do we do that? Well, a weapon shoots relatively poorly without ammunition. But there are a lot of different bullets in Escape From Tarkov for the same caliber, and to see what you have available, you can press right click on your weapon and go to linked search and check the ammo tab. Here you can see everything that fits into your weapon and what you have available. Now certain ammo is grayed out because we don't have the trader level right now, so we can't buy it. But this way you will always find ammo for a specific gun. Now what are the differences in the different bullet types? For that, check the Ballistic page in the wiki, link in the description. There you can see for each different bullet type how much damage it deals and how much penetration it has. And then of course we have the next question. Yeah, what does penetration mean? And no, I will not do a cheap joke here. So when you shoot at an armor, the penetration value determines whether the bullet goes through or not. And armor is divided into classes. We have level 1 to 6. Here, for example, we have a level 4 armor. That means it had basically a penetration blocker of 40. That means that if your bullet has 40 or more penetration, it will go through. But for example, a bullet with 30 penetration would be stopped by the armor. And the closer it gets to the value of 40, the more likely that it is that the bullet will penetrate. So actually not that complicated when you see it like it is. But okay, now we have some ammo, and now we're going to reload our magazine. And again, we can split the ammo using control and drag and drop, and that allows us to do top loading. For example, let's say you have some good bullets, but not many of them. So what you do, you put quite bad ammo at the bottom of your magazine and do a top loading of the good bullets. Because the last thing you put in your magazine will be on top, so it will get shot first. That means that the good ammo will destroy the armor of your opponent, and the cheap ammo can do the rest. On top of that, we can also mod our weapon, and this is unlike any other game I've ever seen. You can completely disassemble a weapon and turn it into something completely different. But that's beyond the scope of this video and something you will learn over time. But what helps is if you find a weapon in Raid that is modded, check it out and try to see how it has been modded. Also, this modding screen is not available at the start. We need the workbench level 1 for that. So for starters, you have to directly drag and drop items onto the weapon if you want to mod something. But okay, our PMC has a weapon, is equipped, is motivated and ready for a raid. Now we have several maps to choose from. Personally, I would recommend that in the beginning you mainly play Factory, because it's the fastest way to learn everything you need to know about PvP, PvE and how the game or the fights work. But most people prefer a rather more relaxing start, and that's why a lot of people start on customs. There you have two different times to choose from. At around 5:30 you have sunrise and the sun goes down at around 9 PM. So if you don't want to play in the dark, choose a time in between. Then we have the option to do an offline raid, and this is probably recommended for beginners because it allows you to play in a completely separate environment that has no influence on your character whatsoever. So you won't lose anything, you won't gain anything, you can even activate PvE and see how scavs work and learn how to fight them without losing anything. So it's pretty good for starters. But we will go into an online raid now, and then we have the option to insure our gear. You can insure it at Brapor or at Therapist, although Therapist is much more expensive. The difference between the two is that basically Therapist returns items faster. She needs 12 to 24 hours until you get them back, and with Brapor it takes 24 to 36 hours. That's basically it. Now, the way that insurance works is that if you brought in an insured item and it doesn't get extracted by the end of the raid by another player or by you yourself, you will get it back. It doesn't matter if you died in the process or if you threw it somewhere in a bush yourself, as long as the item is still lying around on the map at the end of the raid, when the timer drops to 0, you will get it back after the time period of each trader. The trader will then write a message that you can click on and collect your insured gear. It's uninsured then, so you have to reinsure it if you want to bring it into another raid. But okay, that's about it for insurance. And in the lobby we see all the people that are looking for a group, but we don't care about that for now. So let's go into our first raid. So after the countdown, you spawn in and you're probably completely overwhelmed in the middle of the map right now. No idea where you are, and there's possibly a really big chat sprinting into your direction. So what you want to do first is move away from your spawn, and then we will try to get an overview. Now there are no maps in Tarkov, so that will be the time to open your browser and look for a customs map. As always, link in the description, and this map helps you to find out where exactly you are right now. And a few important shortcuts. With B, you can change your firing mode. Make sure you don't run around with an M4 in single mode. That could result in a very frustrating ending. With Alt T, you can check the content of your magazine. By using R, you can reload. If you press it twice in a quick succession, your character does a quick reload but drops the magazine in the process. So you have to pick it back up if you need it. And with Control and right mouse button, you can change the sight options if it has any. And with T, you can activate or deactivate your tactical devices like a flashlight if you have them attached on your gun. There are many more, but I think those are the most important for the start. And furthermore, you have the option to change how you crouch. You can do that by simply holding C and then use your scroll wheel on your mouse to change the stance of your character. If you turn the mouse wheel without pressing C, you will change the walking speed of your character, and it also influences how much noise you make when walking. And sound is pretty important in Tarkov. So try those out a bit. It takes some time, don't worry about it, but at the end you have a lot of control over your character this way. Now there's a scav or player moving over there, so we will move into that direction. But first we have to check where our exits are. You can press O and then this will appear. You will probably have no idea what this means, but again, open your map and try to find those exits. Those are the exits that you can use to extract from the raid. If they have a question mark on top, it means you don't know if the exit is open or not. Such exits usually have a marker on top, either green smoke or a bright light. If you see those, you know the exit is open, otherwise it's closed. Then on the way you will find loot everywhere. Some is hidden, but with your map you will find even those. And put everything in your backpack because at the end it's a looter shooter. So start looting. And up here we have our first scav. Those are just AI opponents. They will usually use voice lines when they spot you, so as long as you don't hear anything, you're good. And here you see one up close. He doesn't see me through the bushes somehow. Well, whatever. Now those scavs patrol the map and will shoot at you when they see you. But they're a very nice and easy way to get some gear at the start and also a good source for experience points. Now with this one we could trade the armor, we could throw away ours to get it back via insurance, so basically commit insurance fraud. But his armor is pretty bad, only 2 points left, so we're better off keeping ours. And then you go through the raid exactly the same. Shoot what you see, loot what you see. Just be aware that by shooting enemies you make a lot of noise, so other people will hear that and possibly move to your direction. So be a bit careful when you shoot left and right. Also a quick tip, if you hear scavs somewhere on top of a roof, those are usually sniper scavs. They are very precise shooters, do a lot of damage and can shoot very far, so be careful around them. At the beginning it's completely normal to have trouble finding loot. We all have been there. You need to get used to the map and learn where the spots are and how the whole raid dynamically unfolds. So don't worry about that. Then keep going and of course if necessary load your magazine because we have ammo in our pouch and head for your next exit. Here we can see this exit is open because the lamps are on top and this indicates that the exit is open. And we stand at the end and extract, and congratulations, that was our first raid. Then back in your stash, you can put a loot that you found into your stash, equip yourself again and hop into the next raid. In addition, we try to complete missions along the way, and so on. And this is basically the whole game loop in Escape from Tarkov. But now there's also the Scavs. Every 20 minutes or so you can play as a Scav. The timer can be reduced by upgrades in your hideout, but at the beginning it's around 20 minutes. And when you play as a Scav, you don't have to bring anything in raid. You get a free loadout, and if you extract with it, you get to keep it. It's pretty neat, including the loot that you found on the way. But the character is completely separate from your main character, meaning you gain no skills, no experience, you can't do missions, and so on. Also very important to know is that these Scavs have a karma system. If you're a good Scav and your karma keeps increasing, you start with better equipment, and other Scavs are friendly to you, even bosses. You know, just your friendly neighbor. But if you're a bad Scav, the timer gets longer, you get worse and worse equipment, and eventually other Scavs will shoot you at sight. Now, how do you stay as a good Scav? Basically, don't kill other Scavs. Then your karma increases with every raid where you don't shoot anybody. Now, theoretically, you are allowed to shoot PMCs, but at the beginning it's very hard to tell the difference between a PMC and a Scav, so I would recommend at the start, just don't shoot anybody. Except of course they shoot at you. But a Scav is a very good way and a low risk way to get gear and materials. And yeah, that's basically Escape from Tarkov. There will be a lot more videos on the channel, and there are already a lot of videos on the channel of course, so check them out if you need more. If you have questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section below or join our Discord. All the links down in the description box down below. And otherwise, if this video was helpful, don't forget to thumbs up, as it really helps the channel. Subscribe for more, und für alle Deutschsprachigen, guckt doch mal auf Twitch vorbei. Good luck in your raids.